Just like a lot of people, I was hyped for Stray because, well, you get to play as a cat. And the game really nailed that. I got so into being a cat in-game that I sharpened my claws on every scratchable surface and knocked over every object that I could. And of course, I made sure to overuse the dedicated meow button. But what surprised me about Stray is how good the actual game is. Not only is the gameplay fun, the game features a dystopian sci-fi setting that kept me hooked just as much as its adorable feline protagonist did. So in Stray, you play as a ginger cat who's busy doing cat things with its family. While following the others, it slips and falls down into a sewer. The cat then regains its consciousness to discover that it's actually in an underground city that's home to a bunch of sentient robots. Along the way, the cat meets BlueTwelve, an intelligent drone that becomes its friend and helps it look for a way out of the walled city. I think that the cyberpunk setting of Stray is one of the best things about it, and that's not only because I love the genre. The environments in the game look beautiful. Every room and alleyway is packed with little details, and the lighting makes it all look better. I love the interiors too, particularly in places like houses and bars. They all had distinct interior design that never made them feel like a copy and paste version of each other. These places were mostly in the hub areas though, but I think the other areas in the game were well designed too. It probably helps that Stray is a short game, so more time can be spent creating intricate environments. The music made all of this better too. It made the game feel like a real sci-fi cinematic experience. But my favorite thing about it is that it gives off a sense of innocence and curiosity, which I think mirrored the perspective of Stray's cute cat protagonist very well. But yeah, Stray's world is one of the reasons why I got invested in the game. Like, I wanted the cat to find its way out, sure, but the journey itself was rewarding. The game got me wondering about so many things while I was playing, like how the robots gained intelligence after humanity disappeared, along with some more existential stuff about life. Oh, and the robots. I didn't think I would like them much when I first saw them. They look kinda weird with their human-like proportions and realistic movements, but my mind changed when I realized how cartoony they really were. Like, their monitor heads and blank expressions made them so much more charming. It also helped that a lot of them had different reactions when I would meow, rub against their legs, or ruin their day. Stray doesn't really have typical voice acting too. The robots just sounded like digital Animal Crossing characters whenever they talked. So Stray felt familiar yet fresh to me, and I think it's because there were times when it reminded me of Sony's third-person adventure games, minus the violence and other things. Stray focuses on puzzles and exploration, but there are threats like the Zerks, little creatures that eat everything in its path. They're not scary though, and they can mostly be avoided, just like the drones later in the game. So yeah, it's just playing as a cat changed how I felt about some familiar mechanics entirely. Suddenly, all the usual parts like the chase sequences, puzzle solving, and platforming became more natural. It felt more natural because most of the mechanics are literally just cat things. The change of perspective makes a big difference too. All of the objects and small openings around the city that are normally just background stuff in other games suddenly become perfect places to explore and use as platforms. The world felt different and so much bigger, which in turn fueled my curiosity. The cat's animations are very realistic too. So realistic that it bothered my cats in real life. Like, seriously, I don't think I've ever seen my cats react this much to a game before. I'm sure you know what it's like too if you've played this and had a cat around, or if you've seen all the photos and videos online of cats watching the game. But yeah, it was interesting to see how the cat had to just literally be itself in order to progress through the story, like carrying items in its mouth, jumping on things, or hiding in boxes. The cat in Stray is definitely smarter than your average cat though, but it can't get all the credit. It received a lot of help from BlueTwelve when it comes to the more complicated stuff. Like, this could have easily been just a game about a cat trying to maneuver through a cyberpunk world, which would have been fine, but I think that BlueTwelve's inclusion made the game stand out even more. He can communicate in the robot's language, use and store items for the cat, and hack into terminals. So I think that having BlueTwelve around gave more possibilities when exploring and helping out the robot inhabitants in Stray. It helped build a sort of bond too on a narrative level. Overall, it took me around 6 hours to beat Stray, but it can easily be beaten in less than that. While I spent most of that time exploring, what added to my playtime was a game-breaking bug. Without spoiling anything, I was basically trying to complete a quest by bringing an item to one robot. I don't think the game was expecting me to have that item before I played the chapter. So when I was trying to give it to the robot, he wouldn't talk to me. I thought I did something wrong since I literally couldn't interact with him, but it turns out the quest just bugged out. I tried to restart the game, but I still couldn't progress, and so I went online and saw that someone had the same problem. Turns out, the fix was to restart the chapter from the menu. So yeah, that took some time to replay, but not so much that it destroyed my overall experience. The rest of my playthrough was just wonderful. I really enjoyed the game, it was so much fun. I think if you're into a game that's all about exploring and solving puzzles, Stray will be a unique, fresh experience. It happens to have a good story too, even though I still had questions by the end of it. It's currently out on PS4, PS5, and PC, but if you have a PS Plus subscription on the extra tier, I highly recommend getting it there. I played it myself on the PS4 and it was fun. It barely stuttered, apart from a few areas. Let me know what you thought about the video, and thank you to my patrons at Patreon. You're all a big help to my channel. So yeah, that was my video on Stray. I think I mentioned what exactly bothered me about the game's ending in my Discord server, but it's probably buried underneath other messages now. Let's just say I was hoping for a meeting. Yeah, I think that's vague enough. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.